Lando Norris has finally broken his silence on the aftermath of the Brazilian Grand Prix and the championship deciding moments that unfolded. For fans, Brazil 2024 may forever stand as the race where Norris's title dreams were shattered. Yet others argue the seeds of defeat were sown much earlier in the season during McLaren's struggles in the opening rounds. Lining up on pole at the Brazilian Grand Prix, Norris carried hopes of clinching his maiden world championship. His efforts had steadily eroded Max Verstappen's points lead across 5 of the previous 6 races, even taking valuable points in the sprint. However, Brazil didn't just dent Norris's aspirations, it marked a turning point. Despite starting in the best possible position, he faced a masterclass performance from Verstappen, who began a daunting 17th on the grid. Through a mix of bold strategy and a fortunate red flag after Franco Kino's crash, Verstappen catapulted from 17th to 2nd before the restart, and then clinched victory with over a 20-second gap. His dominance in wet conditions was undeniable. Meanwhile, Norris, who had pitted before the red flag, saw his race spiral out of contention. He dropped from 1st to 4th, and then further to 6th due to strategic missteps, turning his dream into a nightmare. The Brazilian Grand Prix didn't just alter the scoreboard at all but sealed the championship for Verstappen. Lando Norris went from being 44 points behind to a daunting 62-point deficit, leaving the title fight virtually unattainable. With just a single solid performance in Las Vegas, Verstappen can now claim his 4th world championship. However, the aftermath leaves us with questions about whether Norris can regroup and mount a serious challenge in the upcoming season. FIA steward Johnny Herbert has voiced confidence in Norris's ability to return stronger in 2025. According to him, the setback in Brazil is merely a lesson. Lando has shown that he has the pace, and this season has been a significant improvement for him, Herbert remarked. But he believes starting the next season on a strong note will be crucial if Norris wants to dethrone Verstappen. McLaren and Norris were seen as potential threats this year after Verstappen's dominant start. The team clawed their way back, often giving the Dutchman a tough fight. Despite this, the consistency needed to topple a reigning champion wasn't always there. The challenge has always been playing catch-up, and that's a difficult game to win, Herbert pointed out. While the Brazilian Grand Prix might be remembered as the moment Norris's title hopes slipped away, it also highlighted his potential to challenge Verstappen in the future. Lando has proven his mettle by achieving pole positions and showcasing remarkable growth throughout the season. However, as former F1 team manager Eddie Jordan pointed out, the young McLaren driver might need to develop a sharper edge on track. Jordan reflected on Norris's approach during the season, saying, "Lando has all the skill and speed, but there were key moments where he could have pressed harder to widen the gap over Max. That edge being just ruthless enough to capitalize on every opportunity might have made all the difference." This sentiment resonates with many who believe Norris's naturally composed demeanor might occasionally hold him back in the heat of competition. Despite this, David Coulthard, another F1 veteran, sees Norris as a future champion in the making. Coulthard emphasized that both McLaren and Norris are in the middle of a transformative period. This year, they've surprised themselves by how competitive they've become, Coulthard said. It's a mental shift. They now believe they can not only compete but also win championships. Lando's development as a complete driver is part of that process, and I think he's just one step away from understanding how to dominate his rivals. The challenges of 2024 may be exactly what Norris needs to evolve into a formidable competitor in 2025. In the next section, we'll dive into the on-track dynamics between Norris and Verstappen and how their friendship has been tested by the season's fierce battles. The intense battles of the 2024 season didn't just test Norris's skill, they also strained his off-track friendship with Max Verstappen. As fierce competitors on the grid, their rivalry has sparked heated moments, including incidents in Austria and Austin, where their on-track clashes drew the attention of fans and analysts alike. Despite their camaraderie away from the circuit, the pressure of fighting for the championship brought a new level of complexity to their relationship. Norris himself acknowledged the challenge of separating his professional and personal connections with Verstappen. Reflecting on the season, he admitted, "It's strange how someone you get along with so well off the track can become such a tough opponent on it. Racing is a different world. It's my first time being in this situation, and I'm still learning how to handle it." This tension came to a head in Mexico, where a controversial incident left Norris openly critical of Verstappen's racecraft. While he maintained respect for Verstappen's achievements, he didn't shy away from expressing his dissatisfaction with the Dutchman's tactics. "I respect Max for what he's done in his career, but what happened on track last week wasn't acceptable," Norris remarked. Verstappen, for his part, remains unshaken by the dynamic. For me, the competition stays on the track, he stated in an interview. Off the circuit, I'm the same person I've always been. Racing is important, but it's not everything. You need to know when to switch off. As Norris reflects on his approach and Verstappen continues to dominate, their relationship adds another layer to this compelling rivalry. In the next section, we'll analyze how Norris can leverage these experiences to become a more aggressive and calculated competitor in the seasons to come. As the season comes to a close, one thing is clear: Lando Norris has all the ingredients to challenge for the World Championship, but the next step will require a shift in mentality. With Verstappen firmly established as the sport's benchmark, Norris must develop the kind of calculated aggression that separates good drivers from great champions. Eddie Jordan highlighted this aspect in a recent podcast, suggesting that Norris's nice guy demeanor could be a double-edged sword. He's been brought up with great values, but sometimes you need to let go of that on track. When you're fighting for a championship, it's not just about being fast. It's about being relentless. There were moments this season where Lando should have closed the door harder or made Verstappen think twice about making a move. David Coulthard echoed this sentiment but offered a more optimistic take. He believes that Norris is maturing into a complete driver who will be ready to take the fight to Verstappen. Lando has all the natural talent, Coulthard explained. The key is converting that into racecraft that makes rivals hesitate. Max didn't become a champion just by being fast. He knows when to be aggressive, when to take risks. Lando is on the verge of mastering that balance. Looking ahead, McLaren also has a crucial role to play. Their mid-season surge showcased the team's ability to innovate and improve under pressure, but they'll need to carry that momentum into 2025. A stronger car and a sharper strategic approach could make all the difference in a tightly contested title fight. In the final section, we'll explore how this rivalry could evolve in 2025 and why it might be the defining storyline of the next F1 season. Stay tuned. As Formula One looks ahead to the 2025 season, the stage is set for a rivalry that could shape the next era of the sport. Lando Norris has shown he can push Max Verstappen, and while the Dutchman remains the dominant force, the cracks in his armor are starting to show. Norris, along with McLaren, now faces the challenge of closing the gap both in performance and mindset. The dynamic between the two drivers' friends off the track, fierce rivals on it, adds another layer of intrigue. While Verstappen's aggressive style has earned him 3 consecutive championships, it's also exposed moments of vulnerability. Norris's ability to capitalize on those moments will be critical if he wants to shift the balance of power. FIA steward Johnny Herbert believes the key lies in Norris's approach to the early races of 2025. If Lando can start strong and put Max under pressure, we could see a very different championship battle, he remarked. Momentum is everything in this sport, and if McLaren can deliver a car that's competitive from race 1, Lando has the potential to disrupt Verstappen's dominance. The broader F1 grid also promises a fascinating dynamic. Rising stars like Oscar Piastri and George Russell are closing in on the top tier, while established contenders like Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton remain in the mix. However, it's the Norris-Verstappen rivalry that feels most poised to capture the spotlight. As the season draws closer, fans are left to ponder: can Lando Norris take the final step and dethrone Verstappen? Will McLaren rise to the challenge, or will Verstappen continue to set the standard? The answers will unfold on the track, and with it, the next chapter of Formula One's thrilling story will be written. What are your thoughts? Could Norris pull off the impossible next year? Let us know in the comments below.